Hi students, Mr. Washam here with a recap of the student survey data analysis assignment. Step 1 of the assignment was to create a student survey. You did this as a group, emailed it to Mr. Washam. Mr. Washam then put the form online for the students in all other classes to complete. You did the same for all other groups. We then created a Google document by going to your Drive and choosing New Document, and we named the document Student Surveys. In the Student Survey document, you were supposed to come up with a hypothesis. My example being, if a person has a larger shoe, then they will be faster. You then put your data analysis below it, which is what we are making here, which is data tables and graphs. You wrote a note reminding yourself that the graphs and tables would go here, and then you were to type your conclusion, which you cannot do until your graphs are done. You repeated this for a second hypothesis, data analysis, and conclusion. My second hypothesis being, if a person has a larger shoe, then they will be taller. After all students completed the survey, you had a list of several responses, somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 80, maybe possibly even up to 90, depending on your class hour responses. This document was shared between all students in the group. The first thing I asked you to do was, in your Drive, create a new sheet, and to name that sheet Student Survey Data Analysis. So I named the sheet Student Survey Data Analysis, and I go back to all the responses, and I need to copy all the answers only that students submitted. I want to do this because I want to be able to edit my own document, not the same one that everybody else is working on. Control-C will copy. I no longer need this page. I go to my spreadsheet titled Student Survey Data Analysis, and I choose Control-V, which will paste. Once I paste the data, it's a good idea to sort the data. In this case, notice all the numbers in column A are just random. These are the shoe sizes. It will really help me if this was all in order. So with all the data selected, I go to Data, Sort Range by column A, and this will sort the entire sheet, putting all size 1 to 3 shoes together, 10 plus, and so on. They are now grouped all together. This is very helpful with your data. The next step was for me to actually count how many students, depending on their shoe size, ran a certain mile time. To do this, I need to set up a small data table over here to the side. Remember, I was using shoe size to determine mile time. So the first thing I want to enter is all my possible shoe sizes in the correct order, from least to greatest. My first size was size 1 to 3. Notice that it tries to format it to a date. It is not January the 3rd, it's size 1-3. To fix this, I want to format the number as plain text. You can do this anytime it happens and then retype, or just select several cells, format number plain text, and that way as you type in your shoe sizes, they will stay instead of switching to dates. Once I type in my shoe size options, I need my mile time options. 6 to 7 minutes, 8 to 9 minutes, 10 plus minutes. I will now go over and look at my data and just simply count how many students who wore a shoe size 1 to 3 ran a 6 to 7, 8 to 9, or 10-minute mile. I go over here and look. I only have one student 1 to 3, and they ran a 6 to 7-minute mile. That is easy to enter. I will now move to shoe sizes 4 to 6, 7 to 9, and 10 plus. Once I have all my numbers counted up, I select all the information from my data table. I choose Insert Chart. I will flip the chart around to be a column bar graph. I will need to go to Customize. I will change to an appropriate title, and I will also fix my horizontal and vertical axis. I have now created and inserted a graph that's the effect of shoe size on mile time. shoe size being my label for the x-axis, number of students, my label for the y-axis, and we can see that the students that had the fastest time, 6 to 7 minutes, which is the blue column, most of them wore size 10 plus shoe, but also at the same time, students also wearing that size shoe also had some of the slowest times, most students with the slowest times. So I would be able to use this chart to analyze my data. To do that, I'm going to choose the drop-down arrow in the upper right-hand corner, and I'm going to move to its own sheet. The graph is now on its own sheet, and I have the option to save the image. The image will save. I will go back to my document, and where I made myself a note to put my data table or graph here, I will insert it. I will insert the image. I will need to upload the image. It just downloaded. Here it is. It now uploads, and I can make my conclusion. So I would type out my conclusion based on my hypothesis. If a person has a larger shoe size, then they will be faster. Based off the data that I have here, I will give an appropriate answer and make sure I explain why. I will now turn around and complete the exact same steps where if a person has a larger shoe size, then they will be taller. I would go back to my data, and instead of using shoe size and mile time, I'm going to use shoe size and height. So I would list my height options, count up the number of students, make a chart, insert the chart, draw a conclusion on this table. That is our work for for the student surveys, and you will get this completed in class the next time I see you. If you have any questions, please make sure you ask.